Alright, this is my Lenovo Legion Go S, and in today's video, I kind of want to talk about how much I love it, and talk about the general scope of handheld PC gaming in the context of COD Zombies. Now, the model that I have here is the Steam OS version, which I prefer because, well, I just love Steam OS. It's a sleek console-like experience that still retains the freedom and flexibility to mod and make changes and play exactly how you want to, just like you would on a PC. And what I love about this particular device over, say, a Steam Deck, which, by the way, is still an incredible choice, is that it has a 120Hz refresh screen, which basically means, in the context of running some of my favorite COD Zombies games, like, say, Black Ops 1, I can run it at max settings at a buttery smooth 120 frames per second in my hand, without streaming, without an internet connection, just on the device, and I absolutely love that. Now, granted, achieving that performance does require a fair bit of tinkering and changing, but I will be dropping a comprehensive tutorial on exactly how to do that very soon. To make things even better, of course, on Steam OS, you get access to the Steam Workshop, which translates to Black Ops 3 Custom Zombies. And what a lot of people don't know is that you can head into desktop mode and also set up Custom Zombies for World at War and Black Ops 1. So you can run Custom Zombies across the board for this thing, and I'm actually going to be releasing a tutorial on not only how to optimize and get the best performance out of your SteamOS device, but also how to properly set up Custom Zombies for World at War, Black Ops 1, and Black Ops 3. And I'll be uploading those videos soon, and they'll apply not only to this device, but also to the Steam Deck as well. Pretty much any handheld PC running SteamOS will be able to follow those tutorials that I put out later. Now, this isn't a sponsored video. This is just a device that I particularly chose because it is the first device that Steam have given native support to outside of their own hardware. But of course, many other devices will follow, and you can also just install SteamOS onto other devices that don't technically have support yet. I mean, there's a lot of good choices on the market. I'm not going to try and make this into like a Linus Tech Tips video where I tell you which one to get. Ultimately, it really is down to you. But in my personal experience, especially in the context of running the COD Zombies games that you can run on Linux, which is basically World at War to Black Ops 4, this thing runs them so well. And also other games that I personally choose to play are more on the retro side, like the classic Need for Speed games like Most Wanted, Underground 2, and stuff like that. And as I'm mostly running those games, I chose to get the one with the Z2 Go chip, which is the cheaper version, the more kind of entry level, if you will, because it still runs all of these games that I'm mentioning flawlessly. I mean, Black Ops 1, 120 frames on max settings, love it. Black Ops 3 custom maps running at a solid 90, love it. All in the palm of my hand. I mean, that's just so sick. And all of the gameplay footage that you see on this video has been recorded entirely on my Legion Go S. Now, of course, on your big blown up screen, you might be thinking that this footage looks kind of ass. And you'll be right to say that, but when you consider the fact that this screen is so much smaller and the pixel density is just so rich, in the context of playing it on here, it looks so crisp, it looks so good, and it's honestly just brilliant. Now, I want to run through some of the other pros that this kind of experience has to offer, because I made videos a long time ago talking about the potential of custom zombies becoming far more popular because of these devices coming out, and now I have a realistic kind of experience that I can relay back to you guys on how it actually all works on a practical level. How is the experience on a handheld PC when playing these iconic classic COD Zombies games? Now, the first negative thing is that I keep talking about all of these classic COD Zombies games because the only ones that are supported on SteamOS are World at War all the way through to the end of Black Ops 4. That's all supported, that's all cool. And for those questioning Black Ops 4 because it's not on Steam, don't worry, in my tutorial I will talk about how to set that up on your SteamOS device. But basically, Cold War onwards are not supported, which does kind of suck. For that to actually work on these devices, you have to either just flat out install Windows or dual boot Windows, but either way, those are things that I'm not realistically going to be bothered to do because I don't care about those games enough to really warrant that. But if you're anything like me, being told that you can only play what is, in my opinion, the golden era of COD Zombies anyway, isn't too much of a deal breaker. And the fact that you'll be able to run those experiences so smooth and so well, it still makes the whole thing worth it. Now, on the topic of positives, let's talk about one of my favorite features, and that is the sleep mode. Right now, here on Kino de Toten, I'm on round 66. I'm literally on round 66. But what I can do is I can just press this button, it will go into sleep mode, and basically I can touch on the other pros I want to talk about in this video, and then just come back to it whenever I feel like it. So that's what we're going to do. Now, another thing that I love about this thing are the dual speakers, particularly on a map like Verrückt. Hearing the screams come from one side is kind of terrifying, but it also has a classic traditional headphone jack if you want to be able to just use your own beefy headphones yourself. And another thing that I'm impressed by is, of course, with that strong performance, it does drain battery life quite quickly, but even still, when plugged in, I've gamed on this thing for hours upon hours straight at night when I can't sleep, and it just holds. Like, I don't see a noticeable performance drop the more you play it. You can really work this thing hard and it just stays with you, which I'm quite impressed by. Normally on a device like this, I'd expect some kind of major overheating to start taking place, and then, you know, obviously the performance just tanks and you're kind of forced to put it down and let it just chill out for a sec. I've not had that problem with this device. Now again, like I've said before, this is the entry-level model, so it's not running the Extreme chip, it's running the Z2 Go, but even still, it is genuinely impressive. Now, if you want some performance stats for specific games, let me break them down for you. Bear in mind, all of these statistics are after I've done some heavy tinkering on each title. Pretty much none of the titles will just work completely flawlessly right out of the box, at least if you want to get the maximum performance out of them. And again, my tutorial that I'll be dropping will kind of go through in depth exactly how to replicate the performance that I'm getting on this, which actually, in terms of raw performance, considering that the screen is higher refresh and higher resolution, this thing basically runs identical to a Steam Deck, I found, because it's got a slightly beefier chip, at least in this entry-level model, but that extra power is kind of offset by the fact it's powering a higher resolution screen at a higher FPS. That is, of course, if you choose to run it at a higher FPS anyway. But nonetheless, World at War. I mean, that game is so dated at this point, it's not very demanding by today's standards, and thankfully, you can pretty much just run it at 120 frames per second on max settings, no questions asked. I mean, in certain contexts, you might see a small frame drop on maps like Shinonuma where there's just aggressive foliage, but with experimenting with custom proton layers and stuff like that, you can just get it at a rock solid 120, and even without doing that, it is pretty much 120 frames across the board. And what's even better is that you can also achieve well over 100 frames per second in the balanced mode, which basically doesn't use as much power, and so the battery life lasts longer. So World at War is no problem. Black Ops 1 requires heavy tinkering, but once you do, it's actually the smoothest of the bunch, at least I've found. On performance mode, I get a rock solid 120 frames per second on every map. Period. Even custom maps, by the way. And if I switch to balanced mode where I'm not using as much power, I'm still consistently getting over 110. This, just like World at War, is also on max settings at max resolution. I mean, this thing is just so impressive. It really is. I mean, without tinkering, you can experience some pretty aggressive frame drops, but so long as you actually take the time to learn how to optimize your games, or just follow my tutorial that I'll be dropping later on, you'll find yourself enjoying every map on Black Ops 1 at a rock solid 120, and that's so sick. Moving on to Black Ops 2, of course, a massive fan favorite. You're looking at an average of over 100 frames per second in your hand. That was tested on Origins as well as Mob of the Dead. And then with Black Ops 3 on medium high settings, we're looking at around 70 to 90 frames per second, and Black Ops 4 running at around 75. Overall, it's fair to say that in the performance department, even though I'm using an entry-level version of the Lenovo Legion Go S, the performance truly is exceptional. Now let's touch back on that sleep mode. If I press this button right here, the game will come back on. I'll probably go down because I really should be kind of paying attention to what's happening. There we go, I'm down. But the point is, it works. I just went down around 66. That is not good. Yep, I should have thought about that before. Yep, I'm kind of an idiot. But still, at the very least, it works. And sleep mode also works for Black Ops 3 as well as World at War. Pretty much any zombies title that doesn't require a mandatory online connection to actually stay connected to your game is gonna work with the sleep mode. And that's just brilliant. I'm so gonna die. I'm trying to quickly buy my perks back before I resume the next part of recording this video because this is not looking good. I really should be recording this gameplay, to be honest. The gameplay you're seeing on screen is completely unrelated to what's happening right now. I am stressed. You know, I'm just gonna put it back to sleep and deal with it later. I'm probably just gonna go down again. But I think you get my point. Now let's talk about what my channel is really all about: custom zombies. The fact that you can run custom zombies for World at War, Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 3 in your hand now blows my mind. It really does. This thing will run Leviathan. It will run Leviathan on medium high settings, and it will run it over 60 frames per second. That's insane. And what's even crazier is that this performance is only going to get better with future software updates, because a lot of the performance with these devices is down to the Proton compatibility layer, which is kind of like a translator for all of these games from Windows to Linux, which is where SteamOS is based. And as new Proton layers come out, as new software updates are implemented onto SteamOS, we see an increase in performance. And so these devices are only actually going to get better. And then we come to the practicality of having all of this power, all of this ability to play the best COD Zombies experiences in the palm of your hand. And that boils down to real world usage. Things like taking it to work so you can play it on your break, and then putting it in sleep mode if you're on a wild run and being able to resume that when you get home. I mean, that right there is a luxury that you don't even have on these older COD Zombies games with a proper Windows PC. And then there's other uses like being able to just play COD Zombies before you drift off to sleep. And again, sleep mode coming in clutch. If you don't want to quit the game, you can just put it to sleep and then just revisit the game when you're ready to. And then there's LAN parties. You don't even need to take down your whole PC setup and put it in your car and drive all the way to your friend's house with a massive PC in the trunk. You can have good old-fashioned LAN parties with your friends, playing COD Zombies by just bringing your SteamOS handheld to their house. That is so sick. And it brings this level of convenience to the table that just really opens the doors for the kind of classic feel to gaming. The idea of playing games at a friend's house, the idea of charging up a device and taking it with you on the go. I mean, granted, these devices aren't pocketable per se, so you're not going to take it like on the bus, really, unless you want to get robbed, but it still opens this door of possibility and also just feels so great to play in this kind of form factor. I loved handheld gaming back in the day. I had a PSP, I had a PS Vita. I loved both of those consoles. I loved playing Burnout games, Midnight Club. I mean, back in the day, I was more of a racing fan, you can tell, but having COD Zombies now being brought to this kind of portable landscape, it is so refreshing and it feels so good to play on these devices. It really does. So that's my experience with SteamOS handhelds with COD Zombies. Overall, it's just glowing positives. I mean, the only negatives, like I say, is that you can't play Cold War or Black Ops 6 or probably Black Ops 7 without Windows because the Ricochet anti-cheat just doesn't work with Linux. And I suppose the other negative would be that battery life. You know, it could use some improvement. You don't get much proper gameplay on some of these intense high performance settings that at least I run before you have to put it on charge again. But in my case, those negatives, they're just so heavily outweighed by the positives, and I truly love experiencing zombies and particularly custom zombies on these devices. It's just, in my opinion, so worth it. But that concludes this video. Lads, ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and keep your eyes peeled for my tutorials. If you have one of these devices, if you have a SteamOS handheld, do check out my tutorials that are coming up on how to optimize all of these COD Zombies games and run custom zombies in the best way possible. Cheers.